Hello, hello. We're live.
Hello.
Yeah. All right. So it's Malcolm here from Light Cellar, and I've got on as my special guest today Lisa Hewitt from Healthy Bright Beginnings.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah. So she is an expert and focuses in on mamas and infants around nutrition. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. Thank you. So I specialize in the starting solids journey, and I call it the starting solids journey because oftentimes we sort of get fixated on the first couple of weeks when really it's sort of the first year of life where there's this whole beautiful bridge and adventure around learning how to nourish our babies and our babies learning how to nourish themselves. So I have a love for certainly the food, but also the process of eating and learning to be a part of the table and just elevating that journey so we can have really healthy, thriving children, because there is a pretty extraordinary need for a strong foundation in our modern world, and nutrition really matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lisa, you're a mom of 3, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a mom of 3.
Yeah,
yep.
Cool. And I'm a dad of 2.
Mm-hmm.
One who's very small, 3.5,
Yeah.
and so this is going to be my world very soon. And I barely remember it from 15 years ago when we did it the last time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be drawing on Lisa's wisdom, and her and I were just chatting, and it's like, yeah, let's get on, let's have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's share a little bit of wisdom around some of the top foods that you'll recommend for folks, for mothers, right, when they're transitioning. Maybe it's not the very first food, but maybe we'll talk about that. What could be the very first food, and what are some great foods for moms to add in through that journey, right? Because I know as we were kind of chatting about this conversation, gut health, number one, it's so important, right? And I think that if I want to give a bit of a tease, a spoiler alert, that might be what's partly informing what some of your top 3 food suggestions are for the infants.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe I can speak to that right now.
Absolutely.
So I love to first and foremost explain what's actually happening for a baby's digestive system in the first 6 months, first 9 months, first 12 months of their life, because it's sort of the forgotten conversation. And I'm going to be a bit detailed around it because it'll be relevant to why I chose these 3 foods.
So get ready.
Yeah, here it comes.
We're going to dive deep. And hey, we got Lexi, we got Amy watching. Thanks you guys for joining on. If you have any comments or questions anytime, we'll be able to see those pop up. Give us a thumbs up. Give Lisa a thumbs up. She's awesome. This is a mama doing incredible, amazing work.
Thank you.
let's dive in.
Okay. So just specifically about what does a baby come in with when it comes to their digestive system? Because when we are about to start the first foods journey, looking at food is one part of the equation. Looking at their digestive health is the other part of the equation. It's so important. When a baby is born, they have what we consider an open or permeable digestive tract. So what that actually means is that anything from breast or bottle enters into the baby's digestive system and then right through to their bloodstream with very little digestive activity. We consider it the open digestive tract. If that happens as an adult, what is very becoming more well known right now is the concept of leaking gut or leaky gut. So it's sort of just that permeable presence of that gut lining. What that means for a baby though is they don't have to do much work when they're breastfed or bottle fed. It's nature's perfect design. However, because that doesn't last forever, we need to create a really healthy and enriched gut that can actually have that medium between whatever enters their digestive system and what is going to be brought into their bloodstream. There's a couple of things that help them achieve that 1 cell thick digestive lining and help it really seal up. In the leaky gut conversation, we talk about heal and seal. For babies, there's not healing to take place. It's just the sealing.
Right.
They're not broken. They're actually perfectly designed to have a permeable gut.
And what are some of the, there's often indications when a baby's teething, right? They're like that kind of excess saliva, they start chewing on stuff. Like there's these kinds of signs and clues. Is there anything kind of external that a parent can notice or watch for when that process is happening? Like, as you say, the gut is sealing up, and about what time does that happen for a child?
Yeah, thank you. It happens a little bit later than I think it used to, actually. When I look back at history and some of what our ancestors did in terms of timing, I think that because of some of what we are faced with as a modern society, full of things we really don't want in our system, our guts are sealing up a bit later.
Responding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sealing up later.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that some really great signs that we're getting some action there is for sure the saliva. However, that doesn't mean a baby is ready for food. But saliva is a really amazing presentation of things rocking on the inside. We see a big increase in saliva around 4 months of age, and we see another really big increase around 8 months of age. And what we know specifically around the one for the 8-month mark is that their pancreatic amylase is coming into, their salivary amylase is really coming to the table, literally.
Right.
So our salivary amylase is designed to break down nutrients and help us absorb them.
In particular, like starches, carbohydrates.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
which is so funny, and I've heard you mention this before, right? So 8 months, that's when it starts to produce. What are we told as parents? Like, baby's first food. 6 months. Here's some pablum. Here's some cookies, some crackers. All these like carbohydrate, starch type foods, when they actually don't have the enzymes ready to be able to digest that.
That's right. They don't have enough. Is a really good way to look at it.
Right.
Is carbohydrates are a wonderful thing if they are the right kind. I do not like processed carbohydrates or pablum, as we previously like. Even so, my eldest is 15, and that was his first food.
Right.
I was marketed to very beautifully by the shopping, like.
Totally.
The internet was not around, so it was sort of like baby's best food.
Right, magazines, etc. Yeah.
So what I would say around that is the starches are not a bad thing. It's just which ones, and a little bit of how much.
Yeah.
What is so much more appropriate is things like fats.
Right. Yeah.
And also some of the nutrients, which we'll chat about in regards to helping that gut seal up, because when it does not. And, we start on this journey of eating all these beautiful foods, and most people, especially if they're tuning in, it's because they care, and they're going to be giving their babies really beautiful things. We don't want the immune system in the bloodstream being activated because the food wasn't mediated appropriately by the system. Right. If that makes sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So some of the foods I typically choose for starting babies off help with that sealing. And it also honors what is available for them to break what nutrients down.
Yeah.
I also really look to breast milk as my leader in what a baby needs. That is nature's perfect food. It's so sophisticated, and it's highly attuned to the development of a child, especially in the first couple of years. So that's always my inspiration for what and why. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. All right, if you're just joining us, we have Lisa Hewitt from Healthy Bright Beginnings, an expert that helps mothers in that transition into foods. That's one of your main focuses, right? That whole journey, as we've been talking about. So let's get into it. So we've been talking about the gut sealing up for children. That's going to help inform some of these decisions, some of these food choices you'll be making, and Lisa's recommending. So let's get into what would be your, and not in any particular order, right? But what would be the first one that you're gonna share, talk about as a key food for a child transitioning, bringing in solid foods?
Yeah. So actually, ironically, the 3 things I chose today, I call them the very firsts. Which is just sort of my own term for like the warm-up phase, specifically to honor the development of the gut. And it's really hard for me to pick and choose, but I love these because they really preface actual solids. Right. At the same time, they're so nutrient dense that we're targeting action-packed cellular growth and development. So I want to talk about fats as a primary. Yeah. And just to put it on the map, a baby's brain develops to around, they say, 65% of its adult size by 12 months of age. Wow. And then we look at what is the brain and the central nervous system made up of. it's 75% fatty tissue.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think, well, what are the most appropriate nutrients to feed that fatty tissue? And it is fatty acids. So it's not a surprise, but it's missing a bit in our conversations around what are the best first foods for babies. I think it's a little bit, it's coming back.
Yeah.
But it's my priority when I'm working with mothers.
Yeah.
They know about fat.
Totally.
So, do you want me to talk about?
Yeah, for sure. So you've chosen, obviously there's many great fats that are down in the shop at Light Cellar, and we picked this one off the shelf.
Yeah, I picked this one specifically because its breakdown is so attuned to when we actually look at what the baby is needing. Yeah. DHA is
huge.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
They're building their brain, building their nervous system.
Yes.
So this, what she's got in her hand, is cod liver oil. Yeah.
So it's going to be your most concentrated natural source of that DHA.
Yeah.
I also love this because it's incredible for bringing those gap junctions together in the gut lining.
Okay.
So it's fuel for their nervous system. Absolutely. It's also food for that gut lining.
Yeah.
And it's also extraordinary for the immune system.
Yes.
Those are really important things in the first year, probably the most important in my mind. So.
Yeah. And did you know the Canada Food Guide wasn't always that bad?
What do you mean?
So way back when it first started, cod liver oil was actually on the Canada Food Guide.
Okay.
Yeah. It was recommended.
This is an ancestral food.
It is.
Which is always actually where I get my inspiration from. That or our bodies.
Right.
Because I think there's this overwhelming evidence about completely contradictory information out and about. And we have it at our fingertips.
Yeah.
So what's the truth? Where's the wisdom? And I just think it's the past. It's always the past.
Yeah.
So my grandmother was given a spoon of cod liver oil at the schoolyard every day at recess before she left.
Yeah.
They didn't probably have any understanding around how much it was nourishing those children's brains, but they were doing it for their immune system.
Yeah.
And I just want to mention that in my practice, I see this as the deal breaker for immune health. So as we go into a harder part of the year for the immune system, and mothers are worried sometimes about how do we handle our baby's health in the cold climate and new environments for germs.
Yeah.
I love something like this. It's that add-in that's kind of like you will see a difference in children who have it versus those who do not.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Or I shouldn't say you. I have.
You have. Yeah, absolutely.
Very much.
Cool. Yeah. All right. So cod liver oil, number one. This one is it's from wild fish. It's raw, so it's kind of that extra virgin, super high quality. Tons of omega-3s, the EPA, the DHA, as well as lots of great fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, D.
Yeah, and actually it's really important for me to say that purity matters.
Yes.
And that's why I love this one in particular, is it's third-party tested for heavy metals.
So the brand is Rosita. I know you're probably seeing that backwards, but there it is, Rosita. Okay, so fantastic. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and that's one of many, many healthy fats, but that's my fave to include as sort of like we'll call that a superfood by far.
Okay, for sure. All right, so number 2, moving on. What's the next one?
Okay, so so let's talk about sauerkraut.
Yes.
So this is your in-house Light Cellar made with love and traditional practices.
Yeah, absolutely. Live culture ferment.
Yeah. So just when we want to talk about the development of the gut again, so 2 things that make it really simple for us to understand if we're new to the concept of bacteria, and specifically in how it relates to babies, is bacteria is like the scissors for our nutrients. So it's like that mini manufacturing plant of breaking down nutrients and allowing our babies to absorb them.
For sure.
So
the pre-digestion.
Yeah, we need to have the bacteria if we want those nutrients arriving where we want them to arrive.
Yeah. And this probably, fermented foods like this are probably bringing in other strains as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, child's microbiome starts, from the mother.
Yeah. And
then progresses from there. And I can see ferments being key, as it is for adults, to have that influence.
Yeah, it's I think, you know, again, going back to the fact that we're facing some modern challenges with our environment in particular.
Yeah.
We really need the extra gusto behind the foods we choose, and healthy bacteria is important.
Yeah.
We hear about it a lot out and about as probiotics.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful place to start. Is a really good quality probiotic. I love when a mother takes a probiotic, or if she's even better, eating fermented foods. So if you are breastfeeding, this is a lovely thing to start including in your diet even before you start solids, because your baby will benefit from all that healthy bacteria.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other thing that's important to note about why do we go a traditional form of bacteria for babies, and why is that different or elevated, beyond a probiotic? Yes, there's more strains, but it's actually the bacterial count that's exponentially higher.
Yeah.
So a good quality probiotic, and there's lots out there, and I use them as well. And Light Cellar carries many, beautiful quality. Always for babies is important.
Yeah.
I call it professional quality, or even pharmaceutical grade. Not every probiotic is created equal.
No,
that's
exactly.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a bacterial count in the billions, whereas something like this with that's alive and active, we're talking about bacteria in the trillions. So the medicine from that is
huge.
Exponentially higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what does that look like for a new baby? Again, in that sort of category of the very firsts, I would say, you're going to let your baby play in it. You're going to put it on their high chair or wherever they're sitting, and get it on their fingers.
Right. It goes in the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, sit down, must get a tablespoon
That's
into
right.
them. It's,
Yeah. And starting solids is more of an art than a science anyways. And I think that's really important to remember, and to literally let them play.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about something like a real sauerkraut is it's going to taste sour, and we want to develop that in amongst the sweet, the salt, the sour, the bitter.
Yeah.
We want that variable experience of taste for babies.
For sure.
So again, multifaceted, specifically for the gut too, though, because it's constantly seeding that digestive tract. We're breaking down our nutrients, but we're also creating a really healthy gut lining as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Love it. All right. Now, last one, number 3.
Bone broth.
Yes.
A lot of people know about bone broth, but a lot of people don't know why it's so wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So you have a recipe in your book in regards to a beautiful broth, homemade broth.
Yeah.
I have a series of ebooks for babies on the Starting Solids journey. I have a recipe in there. You can also hang out on Google. There's a lot of them. Yeah. And there's also a couple of really amazing companies who make extremely high quality, certified organic broth. And this is one of them which you carry.
Sure. Yeah, we got the Gut Lab, we got High Vibe Health.
Yeah, so this one's High Vibe. I also love the Gut Lab. They're my other favorite for Calgarians. And why? What's it for?
Yeah.
So this is a really fascinating one when we actually look at history and what our ancestors would have offered their babies as a first food. It's pretty much across the globe unanimously some type of bone broth. Yeah. Yeah, whether it's fish or chicken or beef.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very intuitive food. It really ties into the development of that gut, and there's very specific nutrients to help with that sealing.
Right.
So you had asked earlier about what's actually happening for a baby, and how do we know that their gut is sealing. One of the biggest things is their skin.
Right.
Because when their skin is irritated or activated, it means something's happening in their gut that we need to attend to.
Right.
Broth has the ability to just build that lining so beautifully. And it's also a mineral powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incomplete food.
It's a complete food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the proteins, you got the fats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like about it too is it's just easy access to those nutrients.
Yeah.
Also, one of the most important things when we're looking at baby food is, you can have a really stellar food. You can have all the nutrients are in there, but actually if they can't digest it, then we're not winning.
No, for sure.
We have to get their digestive system rocking. Yeah, before we really enter into that whole terrain of the variables out there in terms of what a baby can have.
Yeah.
I believe babies can have a lot of beautiful foods at quite a young age.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more mindful about some of the top allergens.
Right,
and
for sure.
I talk about that a lot on my social media channels and in some of my resources, but
yeah, it's true. So anyone kind of watching, you can tell that this is a big topic, and you want to approach it with play and with fun and with an open heart and without fear.
Yes.
And it's also very useful, helpful to work with someone like Lisa, whether it's, you know, getting her ebooks, and she's got a whole list that you can download. So your website is?
So it's healthybrightbeginnings.com.
.com.
And I have a series of 5 ebooks on there, which really pull any mother, no matter who she is or where she's at, her philosophies, her preferences. Those are really important to me to meet you where you're at. So those books cover everything.
Yeah.
We go into necessary nutrients, all the big trendy stuff too, purees, baby-led weaning, the immune system, tons of beautiful recipes. Yeah,
so you can navigate that by topic, and it's beautiful. They're beautifully done as well. So cool.
Yeah.
And one of the other things I really recommend everyone doing is give Lisa a follow on Instagram at Healthy Bright Beginnings. So find her. Obviously, we'll have to have her tagged here on Facebook as well, and just kind of that daily feed, that inspiration that you put out there. Keeps mamas like feeling connected and feeling supported, and that's something that you do so beautifully well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an intimidating journey for a lot of us, and
it
took me till my 3rd daughter to sort of like break the chains and let it go a bit more, and really feel into it as a mother versus following sort of any body of work. Yeah, because there's big, beautiful bodies of information out there, but we have to feel right about it as mothers.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I can imagine mothers feel a little bit isolated, right? I mean, you know, brand new parent, what do I do? You know, who do I listen to? There's so many different kind of voices coming at, and you're a warm voice of wisdom.
Thanks. And we have fun on there too.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thanks you guys for watching. If you're just joining us, you gotta watch the replay now. We just covered off the 3 top superfoods that to introduce to your baby that are best for infants. And Lisa also kind of laid that foundation about the gut and why she's chose these foods. Why they're the what did you call them? The first?
The very first.
The very first.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We've just got a little comment here. We're happy to take any comments or questions. My daughter seems to have some dark circle under her eyes. Is there anything to suggest for that? She's 3.
And she is 3. Yeah, thank you. Actually, that's a wonderful question, because it is an indication that there's something maybe imbalanced, or she's being irritated by something. What to do about it? Honestly, I go back, I've worked with a lot of children who have sort of that physical presentation of an imbalance or an irritation, and actually the 3 foods we just mentioned are some of the best things, and it does go back to honoring the gut so that her immune system is not being activated to very specific foods. If we can heal the gut, and I'm using the word heal now with a 3-year-old, because we wanted that lining to seal. There's lots of reasons it doesn't. Lots. And it's common.
Very common.
Yeah, very common. But what we want to do is we want to bring it back to that sealed state again. And we're going to do that actually with those same 3 food groups. So we're going to do a lot of healthy fats to bring in that sealing. We're going to do the ferments for the bacteria. We want your child breaking things down. And then we want some broth just to help with that inflammation and to, again, close those gap junctions.
Yeah, for sure. And I imagine there's probably another piece around, and again, I'm more experienced in kind of the world of adults, right? Of like that healing and sealing the gut, what's causing the irritation.
Yeah.
So if we can identify that, remove those, and then add these foods in to do the healing and sealing.
Yeah. Yeah, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. What I would say is there's some top contenders for the irritants, and can I say them here?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Okay, so one of the biggest ones is dairy. That's a tough one on children.
And can I clarify?
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, you do. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, I mean, conventional dairy that's pasteurized, that's homogenized, where the cows haven't been fed the right diet. I mean, industrial dairy. Let's call it industrial dairy. And maybe dairy altogether, it's possible, right? But there are alternate sources, raw milk sources that you can get, or look into goat, et cetera, could be a better choice.
Yeah, or what I do is I pull it up completely out for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And the exception to that is butter, because butter is just the fat. Right. So those really sometimes offensive, the breakdown of dairy, so things like casein or whey specifically, they can be very bothersome, and the lactose, of course.
Right.
But the butter is just the nectar and the nutrients.
Yeah. You can even go a next level of ghee on top of that.
Yeah. And then the other ones that are pretty offensive at times are things like gluten, quite industrialized food as well. Eggs can be an offender. Yeah. And if you're feeling really lost, I would say see a naturopath, and you can actually have it tested.
Right.
Yeah. And they can be very specific with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, you keep posting any questions. If you're watching this after the fact on any platform, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, off the blog, post the comments, the questions down below. Myself or Lisa will get to those. And thank you guys for watching. Thanks for those questions. For those of you that shared, give this a share. Give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it with someone that is going through this time of life, right? That's looking for that guidance. Lisa's an amazing resource, and that's why we had her on. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, Malcolm.